The flight was supposed to be routine, another leg in the endless cycle of travel that defined political life. The plane was already buzzing with passengers finding their seats, attendants offering polite smiles, and the occasional shuffle of luggage being shoved into overhead bins. But in that ordinary moment, something extraordinary happened, something no one on board would forget. Senator John Kennedy had just stepped into the first-class cabin, his ticket tucked neatly in his jacket pocket. He was exhausted, having spent weeks on the road, shaking hands, debating policy, and sitting through endless committee meetings. A comfortable seat and a few hours of rest were more than earned. But as he glanced down the aisle, his eyes caught sight of a young woman, visibly overwhelmed, balancing a laptop bag, a binder stuffed with notes, and a crumpled boarding pass. Her name was Karoline Leavitt, a rising political staffer who had been thrust into the whirlwind of public life. The attendants had told her that her seat was in the back, cramped between strangers, while her team had managed to book a handful of more comfortable spots. Kennedy could see the fatigue in her face, the stress of someone carrying far more responsibility than her years suggested. Without hesitation, he walked over and spoke in his familiar, steady voice, "Miss Karoline, why don't you take my seat? You've got a long road ahead, and I'll manage just fine." She blinked in surprise, almost unsure if she'd heard him right. "Senator, I couldn't possibly take your seat. You've earned it." But Kennedy simply smiled, that mix of southern charm and quiet determination, and pressed the ticket into her hand. "Sometimes the right seat isn't the one we're assigned, it's the one we give away." With that, he stepped back and began making his way to the economy section. The first-class passengers, who had been half listening, now whispered among themselves, astonished by the gesture. Karoline reluctantly accepted, slipping into the plush seat, her hands trembling with gratitude. What she didn't know was that this small act of kindness would set off a chain of events that no one, not even Kennedy, could have predicted. As the flight climbed into the sky, Kennedy found himself wedged between two strangers in the back. One was a young man wearing work boots and a stained shirt, clearly fresh off a construction site. The other, an elderly widow clutching a framed picture of her late husband, traveling to see her grandchildren. They didn't care about titles or politics. To them, Kennedy was just another passenger. Yet as the hours passed, conversations unfolded. The young worker confided about struggling to pay bills despite working long hours, while the widow spoke of loneliness and the fading sense of community. Kennedy listened, not as a politician rehearsing talking points, but as a man hearing the heartbeat of America in the voices around him. Meanwhile, in first class, Karoline found hers.